Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue from where we left off in the previous one. So previously we looked at steps 21 all the way to 40, and in this one we want to have a look at step 41 all the way to 60. So as a reminder, this is what we are working on, and this is what the final project is going to look like when we are done. And whilst we are doing this, we are learning CSS variables. Okay, so let's start with 41. Now we want to add the same gradients to the next two sessions. So instead of adding it to them one by one, what we are going to do is we want to create a new class selector, which we are going to call bb1 window. And then we'll move the height and background properties and values from bb1a to the new class selector which we have created. So I am going to move this height here, paste it here like so, and I'm also going to move the background property as well. And then I'll paste it here. Let me quickly fix this. Okay. Now let's continue. All right, so now we want to add the bb1 window class, which we've already created in our CSS here. Where is it? Yeah, we have it here, but it's not in our HTML yet, so we want to add it. And the way we are going to add it is to add it to bb1a, b, and c. So all three of this. So you're going to add it to all three of this. So I'll click here and then hold Option and also click here, or you can hold Alt so that I can type it at the same time in three different places. So I'm going to say bb1-window. And now as you can see, the same, let me take this one away. All right, now the same gradient is applied on all three of them, on bb1a, bb1b, and bb1c. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to take away the height and background color properties, because now we don't need them since we already have it in the new class that we created, which is for all three of them. So we are going to remove it from them individually. So I'll take this away, take this one also away, and take this away as well. Okay, next up, let's come back to gradients. Now, gradients does not need to be just two colors. You can use more than two colors, like this example here where we are using three colors. So to use three colors is still the same syntax. You just write the type of gradient, bring your parentheses, and then inside the parentheses you name the colors that you want to use, and remember to separate them with a comma. So want to add a linear gradient to bb1d. So the way we're going to do that is to say background, write the type of gradient, which in this case is a linear gradient, and then bring our parentheses. So the first color we want to use is the variable building color 1. So I'll say var, bring my parentheses, and then write the name of the variable, which is building color 1 in this case. Bring a comma, wait, sorry, the first color is supposed to be orange. So I'll come here and say orange. And then the second color is building color 1, which we've already added. And then the third color is going to be window color 1. So I'm just going to say var window color 1. Okay, so now as you can see, we have a gradient with 3 colors. The first is orange, the second is this purplish color we have here, and the third color is black, which is the same color for window color 1. Okay, so let's move on. So we have an example of a gradient with 2 colors, and we also have an example of a gradient with 3 colors. For 45, it's a little hidden behind the foreground buildings, but you can see the 3 color gradients. Yeah, like I showed you before. Since you are using that now, you can go ahead and remove the background color property from BB1D. So this is BB1D. Let's take away the background color property like so, and then move on. Okay, so another thing you can also do is you can specify where you want the gradient transition to complete. And the way you do that is to add it as a percentage to the color. So for example, we have a gradient type. We have our first color 1, second color 2, and third color 3. But the third color completes the second color completes the transition at 20%. So here it will transition from color 1 to color 2 between 0 and 20% of the element, and then transition from color 3 for the rest, which is 80% of the element. So add 80% to the building color 1 of the BB1D gradient so that you can see it in action. So let's try it. So this building color 1, let's give it 80%. Okay, so as you can see, we have it here taking 80% of the space. Next up, we want to remove orange from the BB1D gradient and change 80% to 50%. So first, let's remove orange. Let's go ahead and change 80% to 50%. So look where it is at 80%, and let's see the changes that occur when we change it from 80% to 50%. All right, you see where the changes occur. Now let's go ahead and nest 2 new elements. So div elements. Within BB2, and want to give them classes of BB2A and then BB2B. So I'll do class BB2A. I'm just going to copy it, paste it here, and just change the class from BB2A to BB2B. So this will be 2 sessions for this building. Okay, so let's continue. Give BB2B, so BB2B, a width property of 100% and also a height property also of 100% to make it fill the building container. You add something on top a little later. Okay, so let's move on. All right, next up, what we want to do is we want to create a new variable. And like we've been doing, to create a new variable, we know it's a best practice to create it in our root selector. So the name of this new variable is going to be window color 2, and it's going to have a value of this hex code we have here. Now back to gradient. So gradient transitions often gradually change from one color to another. As you can see from this one, it changes gradually from purple to black. But it doesn't always have to be like that. You can, where is it? Yeah, you can change to make it a solid line like we are coming to work on right now. So the way you do that is to declare the percentage for where it will start and then where it will end. So let's work on an example for BB2 to get an understanding of how it works. So I'm just going to say background, write the type of gradient, which is linear gradient. Then I'll bring the parentheses. For the first color, we are going to use building color 2. So we say building color 2. And what we are going to do is to give it a percentage of 0 to 6. So I'm going to say 0%, comma. I'll just copy this, then paste it here, and I'm going to move the 0% to 6% instead. Now next up, I'm going to use window color 2. So I'm going to say var, bring my parentheses, and then inside the parentheses write the name of the variable. So window color 2, and I'll give it a value of 6%. I'll copy this and then paste it here. Let me remove the comma. Don't forget to remove the comma. And change this from 6% to 9%. All right, so as you can see, this is the gradient, but instead of transitioning gradually like we have here, it just transition sharply, so like with a straight line. So from this darker shade of green, it moves straight away to this lighter shade of green. Okay. All right, let's continue. Yeah, so like I said earlier, you can see the hard color change at the top of the session, which we have here. So change the gradient type from linear gradient to repeating linear gradient for this session. This will make the 4 colors of your gradient repeat until it gets to the bottom of the element, giving you some stripes and saving you from having to add a bunch of elements to create them. Okay, so we want to create stripes across this element. So we can use this linear gradient, but the type we are going to use is repeating linear gradient. Now watch what happens. Okay, as you can see, the gradient is repeated all the way from the top to the bottom of that element. All right, let's continue. So for 53, in the next few steps, you are going to use some tricks with CSS borders, and we want to turn BB2A section into a triangle at the top of the building. So first, what we are going to do is to remove the background color from BB2. So let's remove this background color. And then after removing this background color, we want to copy and add the following properties to BB2A. Okay, so I'm going to say BB 2a, and I'm going to just copy this and paste it. If you are new to CSS, I will highly encourage you to type it out instead of copying it, because when you type it out, it will help you to remember it better. Okay. All right, so I'll just copy it and then we can continue to the next one. But before we continue, see what happens here. So what we are doing here is, first we are adding a margin auto to it, and then we set the width to 5 view height. We set the height. We add a border top and border bottom with black color. So that's why you can see the border top and border bottom have this black color. And then for the border left and border right, you can see we use a gray color. Okay, so let's move on. So next, we want to remove the width and height from BB2A. So I'll go ahead and remove the width and height. Now, once I remove the width and height, you can see that the border top and border bottom, we still have the black color. For the left and right, we still have the gray color. Okay. So we also want to change the border left and right to use 5 view height instead of 1 view height. So we change the left and right to use 5 view width. So I'll say 5 here, and I'll also say 5 here. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and change the color from this gray color to something transparent. So I'll just clean this one and just say transparent. I'll go ahead and do the same thing here. Now when I zoom in, you can see that instead of the gray background, we now have a transparent background. That's why you can see the white background. So essentially, the borders have been made invisible. Now let's go ahead and remove the margin and border top properties. So this is the margin. I'm going to take it away. I will also take away the border top property. Okay. Now it sort of turns it into a triangle, right? At the top of the building, yeah. Finally, on the border bottom property of BB2A, which we are currently working on, we want to change the 1 view width to 5 view width. So we have 1 here. I'll change it to 5. And as you can see, it stretches it, making it look more like the triangle that we want. And then we're also going to change the black color to the building color too. So the way I'm going to do that is to say var, because that's how we use a variable, and say dash dash building dash color 2. All right, that works. Okay, there you go. Now it looks good. So at any time throughout this project, you can comment out or remove the border property you added to everything at the beginning to see what the buildings will look like when we actually remove it at the end. So let's go ahead and try that. So here at the top, we have this border property. So I'm just going to comment it out. Now this is what we have. So as you can see, there is no border around the triangle at the top that we created. So if you want to have a look of how the current state of your project is, you add a comment to this border and have a look at it. Then you can uncomment it. Okay, so now let's move on to 59. You should change border bottom to use VH. Oh wait, so let's see. Okay, let's see VH. Okay. All right, on to the next building. So we want to create some more new variables. So the next variable we are going to create is called window color 3. And like we've been doing, we want to create it in the root selector. So we say window dash color 3, and then we give it this value here. So let me just copy it and then paste it here. Okay, now finally in this lesson we are going to add some direction to the gradients that we've created. So far all the gradients that we have been working on have had the default direction, and the default direction is from top to bottom, but you can add your own direction to it. So if you don't want it from top to bottom, let's say for example you want your direction to be from left to right, you can do that as well. The way you're going to do that is to first write the gradient type, bring your parentheses like we've been doing, and then before you write the first color, you add your direction. So the direction is going to be the first thing that comes before you write the names of the colors. Okay, so in this example, what we are going to do is we want to fill in BB3 with a repeating linear gradient. So first of all, let's write background, because the gradient is going to be a background property. The type of gradient is going to be a repeating linear gradient. Bring your parentheses, and then first bring the direction. So in this case, the direction we want to use is 90 degrees. So let's write 90 degrees like so. And then your building color 3 for the first two colors. So the first two colors is going to be building color 3 like so. Let's add another color which is going to be also building color 3. Okay, then we want to add one more color which is going to be window color 3. So window color 3. All right, now as you can see, it's very light, so it's hard to see, but when you look closely you're going to see it. Okay, so for the third color, which is window color 3, want to add 15% to it. So we're going to say 15%. Yeah. So when you don't specify a distance for the color, it will use the values that make sense. So in this case, the first two colors will default to 0 and 7.5 because it starts at 0%, and then 7.5% is half of 15%, which we've added for the third one. So now the resulting effect we see is that instead of having it from top to down, we have it from left to right. Okay, so you can see the gradients working from left to right instead. Okay, so yeah, this is 60 and we are going to end it here. And in the next lesson, we are going to look at step 61 to 80. Okay, so we are making progress, and As a reminder, once again, this is the final project that we are working on. Okay, so this is where we'll end this one. See you in the next one.